Hello and welcome to the Oxford Clay Pottery Podcast. I'm Catherine Tomlinson and I founded Oxford Clay, an eco-conscious pottery company. So on this podcast, we're going to be talking about all things pottery related, often with an eco-conscious twist, and I can't wait to share it with you. Let's go. Hi, so welcome back to the Oxford Clay Pottery Podcast. This week I wanted to talk to you about vegan pottery. So, what is veganism, first of all? Well, veganism is not either using or consuming any animal products or animal byproducts derived from animals. So, vegan pottery essentially is not using any animal either ingredients or byproducts in either the ingredients of pottery or the tools of pottery. So, let's explore this further. Now, I understand if you are, confused about what vegan pottery actually is. I have to say, I was actually at a vegan market at Christmas, and I was going to, I was sort of selling my work there, and I was like, hey guys, hey vegans, fellow vegans, here's like some vegan pottery for you. And I overheard, I was sort of sitting there with my stall and stuff, and I actually overheard this girl say to her friend, I don't know why pottery's here. Pottery's vegan anyway, isn't it? And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. If vegans don't know about pottery potentially not being vegan, then I should probably do like a podcast episode on it and just talk a little bit about the ways that pottery can not be vegan, basically. So I'm going to talk to you about animal products basically in pottery, and you might not be aware of this, and lots of people aren't, and to be honest, I wasn't really until I started sort of really looking into it and researching and stuff. So what I'm going to do is tell you about the two types of things that animals can be involved in handmade pottery and industrial pottery as well. So let's go. Okay, so the first way that you can actually get animal products in pottery is in terms of the actual ingredients in the clay or glaze. So if you think back to kind of like bone china, that kind of traditional, very fine china. Bone china is actually called bone china because it used to be made with ground up animal bones, usually bovine bones. So, bone ash is still available today. Some potters still use bone ash. It's often used as an ingredient, it's used in bone china clay, and it's often used also in glaze recipes to increase the kind of strength and translucency of clays and also glazes at very high temperatures. So it's got very high in calcium, basically, animal bones, and so they're ground up into a powder and they're added to clays and glazes to increase their strength and translucency when they're very highly fired. So obviously not all potters will use bone ash in their clay and glazes, but some potters do. And also some potters who use, some commercial glazes, so like they buy a glaze which is in a powder form from a pottery supplier, or they buy a glaze, already made up as a glaze, as a liquid. They might have bone ash in the ingredients, and so they won't necessarily know that unless they actually check with their pottery supplier. So bone ash is one ingredient that can be used in pottery and is still used today in pottery. So you can still buy bone ash as an ingredient from pottery suppliers, basically. Okay, so the second way that animal products can be used in pottery is in the tools that potters use. So there are a number of animal-based ingredients that potters can use in their kind of group of tools that they can use to shape their clays. So the first one is chamois leather. So chamois leather is a very kind of soft type of leather, and potters will use chamois leather often when they're throwing on the wheel. They'll use a little piece of chamois leather just over the rim of a pot as the wheel's going round, just to smooth the rim, make the rim like really rounded and smooth. So, you know, you don't actually need to use chamois leather for this. You can use a sponge or your, hand. So I've kind of got rid of, I wouldn't use leather in my pottery practice. Another way actually potters use chamois leather is they stretch it. They can stretch the damp leather like over a board, a flat board, and then they can use it actually to make the rims or the bases of pots like really, really flat. So they'll kind of basically, you can just kind of twist the pot onto the chamois leather stretched across a board, and that will make the rim or the base really flat. So I've actually experimented with just using a tea towel for this, and it works really, really well. Tea towel's fine, cotton tea towel, chamois leather, absolutely don't need to use chamois leather for that job. So another animal product that's sometimes used as a pottery tool, will actually often use as a pottery tool, is a natural sponge or marine sponge. So marine sponges are actually classified as animals, and when you're using the marine sponge, it's actually the skeleton of the animal that's died. So basically, they're taking out the water, and the sponge dies, and then what's left is the animal's skeleton. So potters use natural sponge or marine sponge because it's really, really soft. It doesn't sort of drag on the clay, and it can make, a really kind of smooth surface when it's like wiped across, a pot. And what I found is that cellulose sponges, so cellulose sponges are kind of like widely available from like DIY shops, supermarkets, and they're actually made from plant fibers. And I found them to be fantastic for pottery. Again, they're very soft, they don't drag across pottery. They're brilliant. Do everything you need a sponge to do, and actually sponges are such an important pottery tool. You're basically using a sponge the whole time in pottery. So, having a cellulose sponge is a fantastic option. They also biodegrade at the end of their natural life, unlike plastic sponges. So, yeah, cellulose sponges are amazing. So the third way that animal products can be used in pottery as a tool is shellac, which is not really widely used by potters, but what some potters do is they paint shellac, which is actually made from the lac beetle. And so what happens is potters paint this shellac onto clay, and the shellac dries on the clay, and then they wipe the area around it, and then you're left with a kind of impression on the pot. So you've got a raised area that's like not been wiped away, covered in shellac, and then you've got the rest of the pot which is wiped away. So some potters use this for doing like really intricate designs. They paint on a very intricate design with shellac, and then they'll wipe the rest away, and they're left with like this kind of like beautiful design, stuff like that. So yeah, that's another way that some potters would use an animal product, shellac. Okay, so the very last way, and I found this, this is something I didn't think about too much really until I, started researching more about it. And that is that actually, in terms of like decorating pottery, a lot of specialist pottery brushes are actually made from animal hair. So, for example, there's a hake brush, that's actually made from goat hairs. It's like this big flat brush which is used to paint on glazes, and that's made from goat's hair traditionally. So what I found instead actually are synthetic makeup brushes. Like those big fat kind of blusher brushes, or the brushes that are used to brush on like makeup, like foundation and stuff. I've actually found those to be a really good substitute for an animal hair hake brush. So lots of makeup brushes are synthetic, made from synthetic hair. So I just like look on the packet and see, oh, it's a synthetic hair brush made of plastic. When I was reading about this, actually, about animal hair brushes, a lot of animal hair brushes are made from animals, from the fur industry. So that's why I decided to stop using animal hair brushes in my work. And so yeah, I found synthetic brushes to be absolutely fantastic. They actually degrade less badly than animal hair brushes as well. So they like keep for longer. Sometimes they're even cheaper, and they're just great. So those are all the ways that an animal products and ingredients can be used in pottery, which until I started researching, like I said, I wasn't aware of all these different ways. So no wonder nobody really knows about this stuff. But yeah, I thought it would just be really good to do an episode just like talking about it. So I hope you've enjoyed that episode on what vegan pottery actually is. I hope you found it interesting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you next time. So if you liked that and you're interested in learning more about pottery, eco-conscious pottery, tools and techniques for potters, there's so much for you on the Oxford Clay website. There's blogs, ebooks, e-courses, video courses, and I can't wait to see you there. So the website is www.oxfordclay.co.uk.